Your restructuring of the bank is almost complete. By next quarter, you'll have reabsorbed what's left of the non-core business. I think it's probably a good time to talk about growth, something we haven't heard a lot of from you. You've had other work to do.
Yeah.
So give me a sense of what the next leg of Barclay's strategy is. Give me a sense of your ambitions.
Well, first, I do want to underscore the enormous lift that this bank has executed in getting out of these non-core assets, selling non-core businesses, closing the bank in certain countries. Just an amazing amount has been accomplished in the last year or the last couple of years. We will have reduced the footprint of this bank by anywhere between 30 and 40%.
Geographically?
A number of people, geographically, to a certain extent, assets. That's tough to do and keep a bank moving forward. So we really look forward to, I think it's 62 days away from closing closing non-core and being the bank that we want to be as we go forward. It will be great to start thinking about growth again. We actually had an offsite of our executive committee about 3 weeks ago, and the discussion was principally around growth and where is Barclays going to be in the next 5 to 10 years. You know, we have our basic strategy, which is this transatlantic consumer, corporate, and investment bank. We have a juggernaut consumer business in the UK. 30% of the payments across this country go through our payment systems every day. We have a very good consumer business in the US, and when we talk about Brexit, we have a very good consumer business in Germany actually as well. We're the largest credit card company there. But having that anchor consumer business in the UK is very important to us. And then having this global footprint for the corporate and the investment bank. It's based on the strategy that being diversified between wholesale and consumer is the safest place to be, in my view, for a large financial institution. So those that are arguing that, let's separate consumer banks from wholesale businesses, my experience, at least in the last 37 years in finance, that's a much riskier proposition than allowing banks to diversify their portfolio being consumer.
Whether that be considered here or in the United States?
I think actually in the UK there is a recognition that diversified business can be a healthy thing. What we have to do, and we have to ensure that we convince the regulators and the broader community that we can run an investment bank safely.
Some of the shareholders, at the very least, whom I've talked to, don't see an easy path to growth. How's Barclays going to grow?
Well, one, the return on equity in our UK business is high teens, so it's a very profitable business. Mobile banking is changing things dramatically and changing what we can do for customers. And one of the things about this payment business is payments also translates into data. We probably have perhaps the richest data pool of what is going on economically across the United Kingdom. Street to street, building to building, business to business. One of the challenges for us is how do we take that payment data, turn it into valuable information that you, our customers, can use for your benefit.
What about those other concerns? The U.S. card business may do poorly in a recession if we have one in the near future. The consumer business itself, is not a high-growth business, given that banking in the UK is kind of an oligopoly, and this issue of the corporate and investment bank.
People often ask me, are you concerned about the profitability of your corporate and investment bank?
Yeah, it's a fair question.
And the answer to that is yes. We're also concerned, when you have consumer businesses both in the UK and the US generating extremely strong levels of profitability, that's when you have to remind yourself that consumer credit is a very risky business. And so, so one of the questions as a management team is, given how profitable and how well we're doing with the U.S. card business, and we just picked up, part of the American Airlines account, which is one of the most important accounts in the U.S. As those businesses grow, keep in the back of your mind, unsecured consumer credit is a great business, but always around the corner there is a downturn, and put a couple of pennies away to make sure you're protecting yourself when that downturn.
Are you doing that now? Are you growing more concerned about the cycle
we
in the United States?
We definitely look at that. And so, yeah, I think you want to be thinking about downside when everything looks like it's only to the upside.